are white. Everything is white. I know I'm still beautiful. Sometimes I remember lines from the song that's come to haunt me. Who am I to desire to hold you? What impudence initiates my song? Who is the merchant's son to aspire to hold Transfer basically we have two husbands, who is Farouk's father. And there's no resolution of anything. There's no resolution of the love story going on. And even the relationship between El Qasim and like Grand Dibarama, there's really no resolution to it. And this is the nature of these things. And perhaps I think I should cheat a little bit, right? And go back to your question about ellipses. So let us say that the story of El Qasim, one that has ended in ellipses, and perhaps it continued in the imaginations of people who read the book. Perhaps in heaven, everybody resolves themselves. But life is not really a neat bundle, and I didn't want that. So it was important for me for that particular story arc to take her off into ellipses.
So this will be one of my last questions, probably the last but one. When you jump forward, you did an interesting thing with the newspaper. You know, when Farouk Slaver's mother, you kind of did some scope of her life using newspapers. And in those archives, you talk about feminism, cross-Atlantic dialogues, including the Black radical tradition, communism, and because at that time that she was a student in the US, communists were being sort of persecuted. You know, so could you talk to us about how you thought of the newspaper as an archive when and it's also layered in the novel?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with the epistolary form of writing, particularly, slow down the letter, but the various ways that you can write epistoral literature has always fascinated me, and I think it's something that we've not really paid a lot of attention to. So in that particular question, I wanted to show the background of Unispan so that we could understand how she had gotten to this position she was in. Because at that period, we already knew that she wanted to kill Farouk. How did she get here? So I didn't want to create a flashback. I didn't want to just create a normal flashback. So I had the idea that, okay, this is it. We could use the idea of an archival source in order to shed a little bit of light on this character so that we could see how she got here. And that was where the use of newspapers came from. Now, at the period that I wrote that book, I used to go to the National Library in Jos, and of course, at the time, it wasn't really well stocked. But one thing that they had was a pile of compendiums of newspapers from the 60s, from the 70s, they had these really huge things. So I'd sometimes pick it up there and randomly read some, And here's the interesting thing about it. We imagine, because we're younger, that our parents have no challenges whatsoever, and that they only exist as those who cause our own problems. But this idea, I think, is true. And that's what I also want to show, that our parents, older people, also had ideological battles that they fought. They had battles, they are scarred people as well. They had the gender issue. They had issues, ideas coming from the United States, from Britain, local ideas. You had religion, Pentecostalism was growing, Wahhabi Islam was opening, So I also, on the one hand, use a device to give a that was not true. But on the other hand, I also wanted to show that we need a bit of sympathy for previous generations. Their job is not merely to have made a mess of our lives, no. They also had their own challenges, and they also try to meet those challenges in a certain way. And the best way to do this is, to see archival records of those times, such as newspapers. Then we realize that as Olaton Williams says, the more things change, the more things stay the same.
All right, so my last question will be a quote from Husseina when Farouk went to see her. And she says that, but you can't remain here. It will start with you leaving. Then you come back knowing. This is how you understand the past, my son. And it looks like many of these characters have physiological leanings. Even Farouk's lover was like a Marxist feminist, which was really contrary to what the mother was in practice. Because throughout the archive, you see that the woman was a feminist, but in practice, she wasn't really. So at that point, I want to ask about how you were thinking about philosophy. Because I read one of the reviewers who said that it seemed you were imposing your ideas on the characters. So I wanted to hear how you respond to that.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. A few years ago, this was about 2011, 2012, we were out on the streets for the Occupy Nigeria protest. You remember that period of the Arab Spring? You know, the guy in Tunisia had just burnt himself. You know, there was all sorts of, you know, and then we in Nigeria, the oil prices had just been raised, you know. So there was this ferment, you know, young people were out on the streets, and we were agitating. And of course, at the end of all of that, I feel that that Occupy Nigeria protest was sold out. Now, aggressive and I'm on their side. But increasingly, I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in Africa is this idea of post-structuralism, adopting it wholesale, and the related idea that there is no need for ideology. Now, if we're post-structural, right, and we have no need for structure, then while we were structural, we ought to have built certain structure, and now we have no need for that. But in the case of Africa, this is nothing has been built. Nothing has been built. So what has happened is we have a generation, perhaps from older, a bit older than that, who have absolutely no idea, and that is why not be counted, understanding it, interpreting. And this is a terrible problem. Because when you say post-structuralism, for example, as public thought, and you have no leaders, no demand, you're going to do everything online, everybody's going to protest. I'm saying that where these ideas came from, let's say Europe, they've sent people, they've empires. The United States has sent people to the moon. Private companies like are sending people to Mars or sending vehicles to Mars. There has been a scientific basis at first. And after that, you know, you can go on the streets and people for the ethical treatment of animals and all sorts of things, right? Excellent. But here's the thing, there must be ideology. Without ideology, you cannot even what has happened to you at first. And this is the problem. So I think I think it was important, all right, to show that as early as 30, 40 years ago, there was intellectual ferment, and people tried to think their ways systematically through the realities they were faced. Right now, we don't do any thinking. We're jumping from one hashtag to the next, and there's really no way that we can really go anywhere. You know, so it's like chaos onto chaos as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, basically the idea, my point is that ideology is important, ideology is necessary, and until we figure out what ideology it is that we're going to take moving forward, then we're just wasting our time.
All right, Richard, thank you so much for joining us here in Accra, as you are in Abuja. Thank you so much. we will continue the conversation elsewhere. Thank you.
Okay, it's been my pleasure, and I look forward to being in your cross soon.
Yeah, and thank you for the work that you did with Certain in Nigeria. It was,
Same here.
Was like the launching pad for many of us. So thank you for the work that you and your compatriots in Nigeria did for 10 years like me. Thank you.
My pleasure.